Hello, everyone. What's up? What's up? What's up? Got the lovely Dali. And you guys know her as the Wolfgirl Oracle. So much love to you, Dali. Thank you for being here too. Hopefully, I'm saying your name correctly too, because you told me to front your name as Dali, and I did my best to do that. YouTube, Instagram, all that, and don't get all jokes aside, but it's good to see everyone in the chat too. So much love to Marsha and Teresa and to anyone who is popping in too. And yes, and if you hear the background noise too, that's Ricky just doing his thing, and it's just like if it's just like how we love our fur babies, they just make so much noise. But hey, sometimes they drive us crazy, but we love them, so it's like let them do what they got to do. But Dolly, if you want to share anything too, or if you want to introduce yourself, you got the floor. Oh, is your mic not working? Oh no. You guys can hear me, right? Yeah. Oh no. Hope your microphone works, Dali. Okay. Still nothing, my friend. Oh no. That's why I couldn't hear anything. So sorry about that, guys. Hopefully, I know Dali will get this working soon with the mic. Let's see here. Shout out to you all. Oh, okay. Got it. She'll be right back, guys. Let's see what she can do. Uh-oh. Still nothing. Oh, that's weird. Huh. Okay. Oh, still nothing. Oh. Okay. Sorry for it. Oh. Okay. Okay, Dali will be right back, guys. Just with audio issues too, and I'll let her back on in just a second. So it's good to see everyone in the chat again too. So Teresa and Marsha and anyone who is popping in too, saying hello. Sorry for the little mishap. I know sometimes audio issues happens, but Wolfgirl Oracle, or I should say Dali, will be back on soon too. So let me see. Oh, there she is.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but you're kind of low.
Hello. Maybe I'm coming in on a different camera.
Okay, now you sound a lot better.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully it's coming here now instead of microphone. It might just be it's not jiving with StreamYard. I don't know, but you can hear me, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, good. Well, thank you for having me on. I'm really happy to be here.
Anytime.
I'm sorry about that. I have,
no worries.
anytime there's anything electronic, there's always that chance that there might be a little bit of a snafu or something. But I'm here now, and everything is good. I can see the comments. Oh, there's PD here. Teresa's here. Marsha's here. Hooray!
Yes. Good to see you.
All right. PD. I'll try to talk loud, and you guys can let me know if you're having any problems hearing me. But yeah, so I want to apologize first and foremost for the state of my hair.
Oh, it looks fine to me. Shoot, it looks awesome.
I feel like I look like a chia pet that hasn't been watered since last Christmas. I swear to God.
Teresa says you look marvelous. So hey, I'm
saying this. Thank you, Teresa.
So it's all good.
I need a haircut really bad. So I feel like I'm Italian or something. I don't know what's going on.
Like because I'm a man
not that there's anything wrong with that.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Are you
No, I was
are
gonna.
you growing your hair out? Are you growing your hair out, or
No,
what are
I
you doing?
mean, I like my hair is so smooth because I put a lot of natural oil on it, but I like to keep it maintained so it's kind of like maintainable. But if it gets too long, I'll cut it. I was thinking about getting a
Yeah.
fade for the summer, so when it comes to that, just something really artistic and pretty badass. So
I like
like,
it. I
yeah,
I like it. I like
maybe
it
do
very
like a
much.
pro hawk or something. I might do that again. Just as I get ready to
Yeah.
pro hawk, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
fade
cool.
it. Okay,
Fade
fade it.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
PD's
I'll make a post
faded.
about it too. Yeah, what haircut you guys do you want me to see? So I'll make a post of that too. So
How should I cut my hair? Well, PD will rein in loudly because that's what she does.
yeah, that's what she does. Hair
She
stylist,
is a stylist extraordinaire. So,
artistic with the hair. Yes,
yes.
shout out to PD. Get some designs. Yeah, okay, okay. Taking notes, PD. Taking notes. So cool. And Teresa says you sound like a pilot. Well, I think that's a cool thing. You sound like you could hear you. You sound like a pilot. You're like you're in a mission. It's like
Can hear you, but you sound like a pilot. Okay, well, we're going to be landing soon, but everybody hang on to your coffee
this
because I don't know if those wheels down there are going to come down or not.
This is flight CJ101. If you're preparing to
Yeah,
land over. I was just
I,
making it up.
I don't know why this is happening,
But
but
to me, you sound fine. So it's like, we can hear
okay.
your voice. I mean, that's just me saying it too. But, thank you for, being here too. And I know like you going through some stuff and you're a busy woman too, but I appreciate you for taking the time to just being here too. And speaking of people,
Yeah.
hold up. We got
Katie's in the
Katie in the house.
house.
I gotta reach out to
Katie's
her
in the
too. I haven't talked to
house.
her for a minute.
Yeah.
Katie, good to see you. She's an awesome person. We talk about things for like a whole day, basically.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
She's good for that. She is,
she's nearly knowledgeable too.
she's my big sister. She's the
Yeah,
person that I call. Everybody's got someone that you call, when you just gotta unload, and she is my person. So yes, I appreciate her greatly.
me too. Me too.
But we were gonna you wanted
Oh,
to
go
talk
ahead.
about oh wait, I'm sorry. Go put
Oh
you
no,
did
go
you
ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. So go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you wanted to talk about self-discipline tonight, which is a great
Yes.
subject. It is a great subject to talk about. But I think that before we talk about self-discipline, we need to talk about self-love
Mm,
because I think the two go hand in hand.
there you go.
Um, this is an example that my Zen master gave to me almost 20 years ago, and this is like something that's stuck with me, and it's what I have used to challenge myself over the last 20 years. Okay.
Okay.
And, but I'm going to use you as the example. So, Jay, let's say you're working someplace
Mm-hmm.
and you're really, really good at tennis, like
Mm-hmm.
really good at tennis, like good
Yeah.
enough that you can actually teach the
I'm
people
like the
around
male
you how to,
version of Serena Williams, huh?
yes, like you can, yeah,
Shout out to the Serena sisters. I love them both and all that. I'm not gonna get to it because I know there's a little controversy with Will Smith, but I love Will
yeah.
Smith too, so that is one. But anyways, I'll let you continue.
So let's say you're really good at tennis. You're to the point where your coworkers are coming to you and they're like, "Hey, Jay, can you teach me how to play tennis?" And you're like, "Sure." And you get all kind of puffed up and you're like, "Hey, yeah, this is something that I do well." And these people like it, and these people are patting me on the back, and they're all inviting me to their parties, and everything is going great. And then Serena Williams comes to work at the same place that you're working at.
Oh, how I know you're gonna? Oh man, I said Serena Williams and then boom. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh, we're on the same wavelength here." So let's say she comes in now, okay?
Right.
A person who does not have the appropriate self-love, but are instead leaning on ego and things outside themselves to gain value for themselves,
Yeah.
they're gonna take a look at Serena Williams, and they're gonna be angry that she's there. They're gonna be resentful that she's there. They're not gonna like her. They're gonna find every reason in the book not to like her. But a
Mhm.
person who has self-love and self-appreciation, something that's internal, not external, is gonna go
Mhm.
to Serena Williams and say, what can you teach me? I want to know it all. Show me
Mm,
what I'm doing wrong. Show me where I can improve. Show me how I can be better at what I'm doing so that I can help other people. You see how the difference of
yeah,
between self-love and ego, how what that can take you to. It could take you to a positive place or it can take you to a negative place, right?
correct. Yeah.
So when you're talking about self-discipline, if you don't have that self-love already instilled in you, you're not going to have you're not going to be able to find the correct action necessary to get you to a higher level of whatever it is, whatever discipline it is that you're trying to take on. Okay? Whether it
Mm,
be something physical with your body, something spiritual, something mental, you have to be okay with you before you go into the depth of um
mm,
into a deep place with self-discipline. Now, that isn't to say that people with an ego can't do self-discipline. Of course they can. You know,
right.
Jay, the tennis player, didn't get where he got by sitting on his ass and doing nothing. He was out there playing tennis, and that's how he
Right.
got good. But to be able to go to that next level of mastery, and that's what you're looking for with self-disciplines. It's not adequate, it's mastery. I mean, that is where self-discipline can take you. You have to have that confidence in yourself that is real, you
Mm,
know.
right.
And if you don't have it, if you are always looking to external forces for self-validation, you'll never get to that mastery level in anything. And that's what Zen taught me, and what different martial arts discipline has taught me. It's you need to get okay with yourself first. You need to be able to embrace yourself and love yourself and accept yourself for who you are, really. Start with
Mhm.
what you really got, because that's going to be the stablest platform to leap from. If you make yourself into something that you're not, or try to get people to believe that you're something that you're not, you're already trying to leap from an unstable platform. And instead of launching off, you're going to go and just fall in the water, you know?
That's real. Yeah. And you really brought up a lot of good points there too, just when it comes to just with self-love, because it's like, when you say like if you feel like jealous against someone for being like, like say you mentioned when it comes to me being a tennis player, it can also be applied when it comes to any kind of sport too, or even spiritual practice, like religion like
Anything,
that. Yeah, even like with
anything.
yeah, even with gaming too, because I'll share you this little
Yeah.
story too. Because I was younger, I used to be a really competitive gamer, but never competed in tournaments. I was just like, because I was really good in Tekken. If you ever played that kind of fighting
I
game,
know Tekken
yeah,
very
so
well.
I was really good at Tekken 3, and I was playing in the arcades, I was playing in the PlayStation back and forth when I was a kid. I was not like a jerk when I was playing against people, but I had a little bit of an ego just when it comes to like, oh, no one can beat my undefeated streak. I was I was like,
Hmm.
comparing it to the Undertaker. So it's kind of like that too. But when I first started with my first loss, and that's kind of like it was after playing Tekken 3, Tekken 4, and I was like, whoa, okay. And it kind of I kind of got a little sour to it. I was like, wait. Then can I and as I was getting older and still playing Tekken over the years, like Tekken Tag 2 specifically, because I was playing that game like 24/7. I was playing against people who competed over the world. I
Hmm.
was like, looking back at it, it's like, you know what? Why the hell did I get so upset for losing? And I was just like, you know what? I just this from then on forth, I was like, you know what? If I ever compete in that kind of environment again, if I lose, I was like, you know what? How can I make it as a lesson? How can I improve as those players? Like, what's those tricks you could use to help me improve as a gamer too? And if want to ask me,
Yes.
it's like, hey, I'm totally over it too. But it's kind of like reflecting on your younger self and just really building that self love too. Because when I was like younger as a gamer, I was just like pressing buttons, like I was really deep into it, and it's kind of like like the gamers rage you see on YouTube. It was like that, but I never filmed it. I was kind of like I had that kind of knowledge, like what. It's like, why am I doing this? But at the same time, it's like you can't help it. When you're younger, it's like, oh, I gotta play it again and again. But then you look back and you just really go on that self love journey when it comes to just
You do.
practicing that.
It's a humbling experience too when you are a gamer, because you do get
Yeah.
to a point where your reflexes are not what they used to be. That's
Hmm.
where I am now. I can't play the games I used to play. I was so good at so many games, and I go back and I try to play them now, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, what happened to me?" I don't have the reflexes. I don't have the vision. I've got like menopause fog brain, I just don't have what it was. Now, if I put all my self-worth into that,
Hmm.
I would be hating myself. I would be
Yeah.
resenting myself,
I
you
hear
know.
that.
Instead, I went, okay, I can't play these games, but there are games that I can play.
Right,
There
right.
are strategic games that I can play, and that I can become a master at. Not for my ego's sake, but just to just be able to keep playing, you know?
Right. And you talk about with martial arts too, because I'm a big fan of martial arts. Because like when I was younger, I took actually amateur wrestling class too when I was like in middle school. And this was around early 2000, 2001 with my friend Adriel. It was like a whole bunch of group of kids, mostly male, and there were only like two women in there too, which is awesome. I was like, hey, more power to diversity. Seeing more women doing other sports too. But it's kind of like it's just like how it's just like learning from how you can practice in self-love instead of being that ego state where you just want to be the best. And it's kind of like I learned that with Bruce Lee. He shared his stories when it comes to
Oh,
him.
Bruce Lee.
Yeah,
Bruce Lee, when he wasn't training or filming, he was teaching. And
yeah,
that's like the greatest sign of somebody who is doing it from a place of self-love, because when you do love yourself and you do have that connection, with your higher self, you want to help people become better. You want to help people do and become their very best, and feel the same kind of self-love that you have, and I
mhm.
believe me, I am not running around the house going, I love me, I'm not doing that.
You're
I
a good singer, by the way.
oh,
You got
thanks.
the good singing voice.
That's my singing in the shower voice.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, if I go outside, I'd be like when I'm trying to sing. But when you have that kind of self-love, you stop
Hmm.
doubting yourself continuously. I think
Mm.
if you find yourself like at a point where you're like, you know what, I'm going to go lose weight. I'm going to do it this time. And then all of a sudden it's like all this self-doubt comes into your mind. All this, oh, I got to give up this. I got to give up that. Oh, it's going to be too hard. I can't do this. I'm really not that fat. These are all the things that I tell myself. This is one area of my life where I struggle, is
Mm.
with losing weight. So maybe, Jay, you could help me with that. Maybe you could help me find something that I can do that won't hurt me, but will help me, keep down the path. I'm doing much better. I've cut out pasta. I've cut out really all starches. I just eat meat and vegetables. That's all that I eat all the time now, pretty much, and beans
Mm.
and stuff like that. But my
Yeah.
exercise still has something to be desired. So that's an area that I get myself all like psyched up, like, yeah, I can do this, I can do this. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't know if I can. That's the one self-love area that I have a little pie piece missing, that I need to fill in with some love for myself. But
Yeah, I
oh,
totally feel you on that too, and especially for those who are listening too. So shout out to Arlene, Petey, Katie, Teresa, all
yes,
you guys who
yes,
are
I
here
love
too.
you guys.
Yeah, I love you guys too. Yes. And it's just like, when it comes to, like losing weight and just really doing our best to staying healthy, it's just like I say like, you know, because I promote the message of self care, just when it comes to the physical, the mental, and the emotional. It's like, just doing things that fulfill you, and just really listen to what you really need in a moment too. So it's kind of like, for you, for example, when you just cut off pasta and you're just eating meat and vegetables, it's like that's powerful. Because with me, because pasta is my kryptonite. I say this all the time, and it's
It
like
is.
I'll eat
I
a little bit,
understand.
like I eat like I used to eat pasta when I was younger a lot more, but now when I'm gonna be 35 in the next couple months, it's like, I gotta really just really trim that down and just really eat more fruits and vegetables and really drink a lot of water too. I've been drinking a lot of gallons of water. I'll just say that too. And especially,
Water.
yeah, especially
Yeah,
water. And it's like,
water.
yeah,
Yes.
you want to get my drink, so hold up. Got my drink, so I got my Spider-Man cup in here. Hold up. Yep.
Oh, oh, Spider-Man, Spider-Man, drink the way a
Spider-Man.
spider does.
You never know. I might be playing Miles Morales, but hey, if I was I'd love to play Miles Morales, the Black Spider-Man. But it's just like Dali, especially for anyone who is listening to it. Really, just when it comes to just with those goals that you have, losing weight, I'm trying to do that too because staying healthy. It's all about what you really need in the moment too. So if you feel like you need to just say you need to cut out the pasta, eat more vegetables, just really listening to what you're feeling too, not really denying that also. And I'm
It
saying this too. This is just my own suggestion. I'm no nutritionist whatsoever, but I'm just sharing my own advice to anyone who is listening too. Just really listening to what you
listen
really
to your
need.
body,
Listen to
right?
your body. Listen to your
Right.
heart, especially when it comes
Mm-hmm,
to your
mm-hmm.
heart, your emotions. Especially if you need to say like, let's say for example, right? And I shared this with live stream with JJ Tuta Speaks, and we had an awesome time there too. She's watching. Shout out to her. I shared a story about if you like watching a show on Netflix called Lucifer, and I kid you not, I'm not gonna spoil it, but I'm gonna put in like in a scenery. Let's say, for example, like say like if your parents are going to another dimension and you'll never see them again. It's like you see them one last time, and it's kind of like your dad wants to spend time with their mom in another dimension, and that being her world because she's always been with his for millennia. And it's just like, just really feeling it and watching that scene. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like just allowing myself to cry. It's like really, it's like tears of joy, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, just not, don't be afraid to express your emotions, even when you're by yourself. It's like if your scene makes you cry and it makes you feel like happy or sad inside too, just really letting it out, especially if
Right.
it's like a game, like any scene too. If it's like you're playing a game, if you're watching a movie, or if it's just like you're creating a recipe too. It's like, you can create that most bomb smoothie or just like, salad recipe, or even just like say, for example, let's say for any spiritual people out there who like to make their own kind of ritual sprays or something, and it's just like when you use it you make you feel better about yourself. It's like, oh shit, I could just take a drink and just say cheers, so
Right.
it's really allowed to feel what you're feeling, listen to what you need for your body, and just really let's don't be too hard on yourself when it comes to the mind, because I
Oh,
know that.
right. Right. Like Arlene was just saying that as a nutritional manager, not
Yeah,
to cut things out of a diet, but to eat full foods
yeah.
and everything in moderation. The reason that I started doing this, Arlene, was to get my blood
Mm,
sugar under control because in the whole process of getting ready to have this surgery, I discovered that I was more than just pre-diabetic. I was in full-blown diabetes.
mm,
And I wanted to get that blood sugar under control before I had the surgery. So I cut out the pastas, the potatoes, the rices, all the different starches, and just stuck with things like beans and meat and certain vegetables and certain fruits, and kind of went on a diabetes diet.
mm,
And the interesting caveat from that is I felt a lot better. I was sleeping up a lot better. There was all this good stuff that came out of it, but mentally, I was saying to myself, I just, it was almost like when you quit drinking. When you quit drinking for the first like 6 months or so, you start thinking about all these social situations that you won't be able to be comfortable in anymore, right?
mm.
I was having that same kind of like fight with myself about food. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this right now. I just got to get through this surgery and then I can decide what I'm going to do from here. But I'm glad that you said that, Arlene, because that
Yeah.
that is true. And I do need to look at the 816 then. Doctors looking at it for diabetes type 1. Okay, and I'm type 2.
Mm.
But I will look into that. I got to
Thank you
I
for
gotta,
sharing that,
yeah,
Arlene.
I'm gonna write that down. Hang on. Let me grab a pen here and
Yeah,
just
and I like
before
to
you get rid
interview
of.
you too, Arlene, someday to see if you want to talk about food. So just feel free to hit me up because I love talking about food because I love to cook. You know, when it
Okay.
comes to
Well, I love to cook too.
me too. So if you want to do a one-on-one collab, Arlene, just hit me up and we'll set something
Yeah,
up.
I would love to hear you guys talk about
Yeah,
food.
Arlene is amazing. She's a very powerful spiritual person, very
Yeah,
knowledgeable
for
too.
sure. And PD was saying that she's into bone broth lately. And I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about bone broth.
Mm,
So
yeah,
maybe
me
I will
too.
do that too. Oh,
Yeah,
and you mentioned Tai Chi. It's funny that you would mention that. I was going to talk a little bit about my martial arts
yeah. Feel free.
journey.
I love to
Um,
learn.
when I
That'd be
was young,
fun.
when I was a kid, I literally was a fat, ugly redhead with a bad haircut who wore hand-me-down clothes and ate the free cheese. You see what I'm saying? So I was
Mm,
prone to being bullied a lot. And my parents, we had after school programs. You probably have them in just about every state that you live in. It's like free programs that happen during the summertime where you can go and you can hang out at the school all day and be taught different things. And it was kind of like daycare without being called daycare. You know what I mean? But they had
right.
all these great programs, and every year they had a self defense class, and every year my parents put me in that self defense class because they couldn't afford to take me and get me into karate or judo or taekwondo or tai chi.
Yeah.
But these classes, and was doing it from the age of 10 to the age of 16. Every
Wow.
summer, I would go and I'd get involved in this program. And the people that came were masters in karate,
Wow.
taekwondo, judo, and the same person who did the taekwondo also did the tai chi.
Wow. So
So
it's a mixture of martial arts,
yes,
knowledge
yes,
there
and it
too.
was just the basics, right?
Yeah.
But the things that they taught us that have stuck with me my whole life that was where I first learned how to be mindful. I learned how to meditate, and I learned how to diffuse the bomb that was inside of me. That raging
Mm,
bomb that
so
would
yeah.
take me to violence. I learned
Yeah.
that self-discipline, that self-control. That was my first walk into that mastery. Now, I'll still kick a bitch's ass if she does anything
Some from
to
my whole
anybody
walk it
from my
dry, huh?
family, okay? But
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not ever gonna start that fight, you
Yeah,
know?
I hear you.
So,
I feel the same way too, because it's like, if someone is threatening my family or even with my dad or with my mom too, because I was very protective of her too. I'll do anything just to protect her. I have to stop a mud's hole and walk it dry too, or just like I'll turn to like a phenom in a minute, but I won't start a fight because I'm not that kind of person. It's like
yeah, I'm not either. I don't
I'll
start.
protect what I value and love, especially with
Yes.
family, our environment too, especially. So I feel you.
Mhm.
I feel you.
I feel like it would be awesome if all kids could learn some basic martial arts, but not for the fighting aspect of it. Tai
Yeah.
Chi would be great. I mean, if
Yeah.
Tai Chi and meditation were brought into the schools and kids
Yeah.
learned how to diffuse their rage before it went over the top, maybe we
Yeah.
wouldn't have so much
Built up anger inside, huh?
6-year-olds going to school with a gun to shoot their teachers, that kind of stuff.
I know.
Clearly there is a vacancy in our spirituality in this country and really the whole world
Yeah.
that is causing this to happen. There's a vacancy that needs
Mm,
to be filled, and how that gets filled can determine
mhm.
what kind of person we end up with on the other side.
Yeah.
And I feel like Katie was talking yesterday on her show about this book called The Fourth Turning.
Mm,
And this generation that's in our world right now that is growing up right now is the generation that's going to take us back to some sanity. We're on
mm,
the it's called the millennium we're in the midst of the millennial crisis. Okay. And it's
mm,
an 80-year cycle, and it's in 20-year blocks. And in each
mhm.
one of these 20-year blocks, different things happen. And when you go back in time, you can go back 1,000 years and you can see how this cycle progresses through time. Okay, so it's a real thing. Okay, it must be an astrological thing tied to it somehow, right?
Yeah.
But the generation that is now coming up, this new group of kids, they're the ones who are going to take us out of this. They're going to
Mhm.
they're going to lead us out of this mess,
Mhm.
this insanity that we're dealing with right now, this violence and this void of spirituality.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
That's
it's a, it's
yeah.
a it's a really interesting subject and an interesting book if anybody's interested. Go to
Yeah,
Katie
if anyone has
go to
any
Katie's
information about
channel.
that too, feel free to drop it because that is
Yeah.
really like another like Katie said, and she mentioned this to me too. Like
Mhm.
we were talking about it, and it's like, whoa, and I had to really wrap my head around that too. It's like, yeah, that's really makes
The,
sense. It's like, whoa, this
hi,
wow.
Teresa.
Thank you for sharing that, Dali, and especially Katie
Yeah.
too for bringing
Yeah,
that to light as well.
Katie, like, oh man, her and I talked about this. How long did we talk about this, Katie? Katie and I were both like, whoa, man. And
Right.
that was before we smoked the weed.
Mm. Smoke
We were
weed
just
every
like,
day. It's like Snoop Dogg said.
whoa. Yeah.
Oh man, or Nate Dogg. Yeah.
Hi,
So
everybody. Hi, everybody
hey,
who's coming
Teresa
in.
and
It's good to see
Marcia
all
and
you
Sheila.
guys.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of like, just like, my gen, because I'm a millennial, because I was born in 88, and I think I'm right about that too. And it's just like, even just reflecting on my generation too, and how most people act and so on and so forth. It's like, sometimes with me, it's like, it makes me have to think, like, how can I could be a better person, not just for myself, but for the communities that I'm in too, for the planet. It's like even like when I thought about this when I was 13, but it's kind of like as you're getting older, you kind of have those self doubts. It's like, should I be leaving this? Should I not? But then as you're getting older, especially in my middle age now, I was like, you know what? I was like, so be that. Like, how can I embrace who I am, being that kind of like gamer hippie, whatever identify? Because it's hard to put me as a label, but it's kind of like, how can I be a better person? How can I contribute to the
And
community?
you don't have to be a label. You
I
can
know,
be
right?
the mess of whatever it is that you want to throw together and make you. That's what I am. I love gaming. I love
Right.
comic books just like you. I love comic books. I love cartoons. I'm a grown ass woman who loves cartoons. Okay, anime. I love anime.
Ooh,
I
what's your
I
favorite
love
anime? If you want to share?
Norse. I love Norse mythology. I love the
Oh,
Norse religion. Norse, 24/7 Norse and anything pagan. And
mm,
I like I am not a witch, but I have so much respect for people who practice that craft and
shout out
I
to all the
just
white witches here too, are
I
that are
just
doing
got
positive things.
so many interests. So many I collect basketball cards.
I still have my Pokemon cards since the 90s, and
Do
it's in
you?
the
You
yeah,
should
they worth a
hang
lot of money too.
you
I'll just say
yes,
that.
yeah, I have my all my well, not all my original ones, but I have a couple, boxes full of them, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
I'm not
got
ever
some from
throwing that away.
Japan. My mom's friends gave it to me. I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And yeah, I didn't share it. This is the first time you guys hearing this. I still have them in my closet. It's like,
Don't ever get rid of those.
oh man, I'm keeping
Don't
that.
ever throw out your comics. I love Star Wars. I love
Right.
Star Wars. So what am I? I'm a big geek.
Hey, just embrace who you are, and
I love it.
it's kind of like
Yeah.
with the topic of self-discipline, and you could share what your feelings about what I'm going to share too, Dolly, and anyone who's listening. And it's just like, have you ever felt like inspired by a character who makes you want to be a better person? It's kind of
Yes.
like a game, like a gaming character
Well,
or someone on TV.
for me it was Princess Leia. I
Ooh,
wanted to
share
be
that a
like
little more about that. Yeah, feel free.
I wanted to be like Princess Leia. She was smart, but she was still very feminine. And
Yeah, she didn't take on much.
she was strong, but she was still very sexy. She didn't give
Yeah,
up any of her femininity to be strong, wise, brave, tough, and just fearless. And I'm like, that's what I want to be. That's the kind of person I want to go into what I'm going into fearlessly. I don't want to have self-doubt. And
right.
she didn't self-doubt herself. She wasn't, no, she was badass, man. And so she's been my hero since 1977. Okay. When she died, both in the movie and in real life. I
Yeah.
cried like a
I was shocked
baby.
too. My mom was shocked also when she
Oh,
heard
I was
that's
so
Carrie
sad.
Fisher.
But
And I'm
I
like,
like I was like, Carrie Fisher, oh my God, you're gone. But then I thought, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for being that role model that little girls needed to see. Not a woman behind a desk typing in a short dress. You know what I mean? Getting a guy a cup of coffee.
and
No,
I, that's a
no, no,
good
no. They
point
were
there.
getting, but
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's fine if that's what you want to do. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
But that wasn't me. That was not
Right,
me.
right.
I
And
wanted
that
to lead. You know?
Right. And that's a beautiful thing too. It's just like you want to lead and you have that kind of powerful example too. And I'll share it too, because
Yeah.
I'm a guy, I'm a straight guy who loves women. But it's kind of like, when you
Okay.
over the years, like when you're younger, it's like, you always value women too. It's like, okay, she's wearing that kind of outfit. It's like, oh, okay, she's gorgeous. But it's kind of like the character that inspired me to always want to be inspired by. And this is going to shock you too, because this is Hercules from the 90s. I don't know if you ever see the show Hercules.
I love Hercules.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know the actor now too. I know
Kevin Sorbo.
yeah, I know he's kind of controversial now, but that character
Ah,
alone inspires me to be the
yeah.
best person who I am. It's like he's selfless, he's careless, he doesn't take any mess from anyone. He
Mhm.
helps people to redeem themselves. He doesn't kill his opponents. And it's like with
Right.
Xena, because Xena was actually a villain on the show. And he's like, you know what? Instead of killing her, he spared her and just teach her how, there's more than life than just battle.
And
And
look
it's
at
kind of like,
she went on to be this fearless,
yeah, and that's how she kind
beautiful,
of
tough,
redeemed herself.
smart. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the cool thing about Hercules because I can relate to that. It's like, you know what? You mean you have kind of like the same kind of like heart set too. It's like really powerful. And it kind of inspires me to create this channel. It's like that's why you see the name Herc. It's like that's basically from that show. It's like,
Mhm.
you know what? That's like Hercules is my dude ever since I was a kid. Cause I like a lot of characters from Blade. That's like my edgy side if I need to, like,
I
oh,
love
vampires.
Blade.
It's
I
like Wesley Snipes, and then it's kind of
I
like other
love him.
characters too,
Mhm.
like Black Panther. It's kind of like, even now
Oh,
too, it's just like, it's like, oh, the King T'Challa. It's like how if I was a king and how you protect people and really be there for them and make things right too. It's like there's so many characters that I can relate to, but Hercules is like the first and foremost because it's like he loved his
yeah.
mom.
I
Oh, go ahead.
liked I liked Hercules because he was an absolutely masculine, strong guy who had a heart.
Yeah,
He wasn't
yeah,
like an over the top macho dude, but he knew exactly how tough he was.
yeah. He
He
like
didn't have to tell people about how tough he
he threw a
was.
boulder across the planet when he was a teenager. When he was kind of like he was upset with his friend Aeolus because he was like he became a god because he wanted to impress his brother Apollo. But he's kind of like upset. He threw this boulder so out of the Earth's orbit, and he was like pissed off. I was like, "Oh, you don't want to piss that dude off." And it's just like sometimes like in the show, and I'm just going off the nerdy tangent. It's kind of like sometimes he gets beat up a lot, but he recovers so quickly. It's like, oh, that's his half demigod kind of side coming out, but he
Mhm.
still has that human heart where he wants to help people, and he's not like above people. He's always trying to help them out too.
He's still half human. If
Yeah,
have you
exactly.
ever read any of the actual mythology, Hercules
Hmm.
mythology?
Hmm.
Because he's a really complicated he's a
Very
complicated
complicated.
and all the gods from all the pantheons worldwide are all like that. They all have flaws, they all have
Mhm.
strengths, and they all are very, very human.
Like Zeus can't keep it in his pants, which is
Zeus is like that. Odin, Odin
yeah,
is kind of like that too. Thor is kind of like that too.
yeah,
They all got their wiggle wiggle going on,
yep,
but they also have a heart and they also have a deep love for humanity. You know,
yeah. They do.
they
They
do.
do.
They really it's what makes us human that they crave the most. That they
Mm.
want. That's what they want, and
Right,
I
right.
think that that's pretty powerful. Oh, Sherry H is here. Hey,
Hey,
Sherry H.
Sherry H, good to see you.
Hey,
Yes, glad you made it.
congrats,
Give me a shout out
congrats
to
on
you.
the 1,000, girl.
Yeah, congrats. Oh, she made it 1,000? Oh, congrats.
Woohoo!
Cool stuff.
Woohoo! We knew that was going to happen.
Cool. And
I had
hello
no
to
doubt.
Jules too, if I didn't say hi to
Hey,
you. Also,
Jules. Yeah,
Jules,
Jules.
Viviani,
Yep,
JR.
Viviani.
Yes, if I didn't, and if got it, any Teresa,
JR, yep, JR's here. Yep.
yeah, Teresa, JR, Kiba, all you lovely people too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Kiba.
and it's kind of like, even like when we just, see people on TV or we play on the video games that inspires us to be, like kind of, people too. There's also people who we can meet in real life too that can also help us to practice self-discipline. And I'll mention one other person too that inspires me to be a good person, especially from a content creator viewpoint, and that's the Undertaker, the wrestler too. So it's kind of like over the years when I saw him wrestle, he, like in the I think it was 1996 or 98, he was in that Ministry of Darkness. He was really kind of had that cult like thing. It's really crazy, but like behind the scenes, the man, he always loves to work with people. He always makes sure everyone is safe, no one's injured. And I was like, you know what? And he likes to work with people. He likes to create a
Hmm.
story, tell a story, and it's like, he always shares some
I heard
advice.
people.
Okay.
I've heard people that have worked with him, or who were younger, up and coming wrestlers who were kind of in the same domain as him. They were calling him like the Papa Smurf because he was, or the daddy, like the den father, because he was always like checking up on everybody, making sure everybody was behaving themselves and doing what they were supposed to be
Yeah.
doing, and not getting themselves into trouble. And yeah,
Right.
so that's
And
that's pretty.
he's been like that for a long time. He has so much
Mhm.
stories to tell, and it's like, whoa, like
Mhm.
this guy is the real deal. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's just like how just like he talks really good about when it comes to wrestling. And he doesn't put shade on anyone. He really keeps it to himself. And it's like he always has this kind of class where he's like, you know what? He keeps it real, and he's funny too. And you just think about it because sometimes like when during that his biker phase, the American Badass was actually kind of him in real life. But he's kind of like he's really, really chill. He's very funny. He likes to, make sure that people are okay and make sure people are doing right too in the wrestling
Mhm.
business. So he's really respected to all his peers. If you're there at ECW, WCW, AEW, it's like, what you can't go in the wrestling world and not know about the Undertaker because it's like he's
Right.
that dude. And it's even like in UFC, they talk about him too. It's like, wow, it's like he's respected among his peers in Hollywood, UFC, sports world. It's amazing. It's how you can be inspired by that kind of people to really just be a better person too. Because he even mentioned like certain people who inspires him, and it makes him be a better person too. Not just as a wrestler, but as a human being too. So I just really big shout out to Mark the Undertaker. I don't want to mention his real name. I'll just say that too. So it's like yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah,
that's cool. That's super cool. Like, I'm trying to think of somebody in. It's funny because now that you're mentioning, now that we're really talking about this, it's funny because most of the people who have inspired me through my life to push forward have been characters. They've like,
mm,
I'm a big Star Wars and Star Trek fan,
right,
and when Star Trek Voyager came out and they had their first female captain, I was young. I was just getting into management, okay? I was 23, 24 years old when Voyager came out, and I had just made it gotten into management, and I watched her like a hawk, and I'm like, I'm going to
mm,
lead like she does because again, she was strong but beautiful, kind but firm,
right,
and fair and very, very fair. And I'm like, that's the kind of leader that I want to be. That is how I want to be. I want to be like her. I want to keep my emotions to myself when I'm in front of people, and let myself break down when I'm behind the scenes.
right,
I don't want to come off as being a hard ass or cold, but I also don't want to come off as weak. And I watched her and how she portrayed her, how Kate Mulgrew portrayed her on that show. And I was like, that's what I want to do. That's the kind of person I want to be. So yeah, it's funny. Like most of the people that I looked up to were characters. It wasn't necessarily the actual people, but the people behind the characters. Like Carrie Fisher, she had her battle with alcoholism, so did I.
mm,
She had her battle with food, so do I, right?
right,
Um, she had like a string of failed relationships. I had that too, you know, and
hmm
all the way along. we still were leading and still, in charge of people and doing strong things,
Hmm.
but we were still very, very human and very, very flawed.
Right,
So,
right.
these people, these are the people that I looked up to. Kate Mulgrew too. I mean, she had things happening in real life that weren't the best all the time. But when she got on in front of that camera, she was Captain Janeway and she led that group. And that I made that connection and I went, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be real. I'm not going to not be real, but
Right.
I am going to handle myself in this particular sort of way. And it did good for me. It did very good for me. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and then one other person that I looked up to when I was a kid was Uhura on Star Trek.
Oh, now you
And
mentioned that with it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh my God, that woman. I mean, if you go back and you watch the original series and you watch how she is allowed to command men who are white at a
Yeah.
time when that was just not ever done. If you aren't inspired by that, then I don't know who's going to inspire you. I mean, because
Mm,
she commanded. When she walked in the room, she was in charge. It didn't matter who was saying the lines, she was in charge. So she was another one too that I just really, really looked up to as a kid. And I was like, yeah, I want to be like that. I want to have that kind of a command when I walk in the room, you know?
right.
So, oh, Marcia loves Star Trek. Yay! I love
Awesome.
all things Star Trek. All things Star
And you
Trek.
mentioned before, actually, when it comes to someone else being the inspiration in my childhood, there was someone before Hercules, and this is a real person too. He's passed since 2009. It's Michael Jackson. And it's kind of like, not because the music and the dancing, that's cool and all. It's just the humanitarian side of him. Just
Hmm.
like he wants to care about people. And it's like, you know what? If I ever want to mold myself to be that kind of person, I want to help people and just really respect them for who they are. That was him. It was that dude. Because I could relate to what he was going through
Yeah.
especially as a black man too. It's like, you know
Hmm.
what? I totally get that. And it's like, wow, like that was some real stuff. And I've always been that kind of supporter since. It's like, the music and the dancing, that's beautiful. I mean,
Oh
nothing
yeah.
associated against Michael, but it's kind of like the humanitarian side, how he wants to care about people. He always
Right.
kept low key about it too. It's like, that's been actually my first inspiration. And the second one was actually Hercules too. So it's like, just when you mentioned that too with Star Trek, and it's just, much love to all the Star Trek people out there too, and hello to
Sherry. Oh, Sherry
Russ too.
did. And
Shout
OG Star Trek rocks, says Katie.
yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to
Look
Russ.
at
That's his
William.
name there.
William Shatner was
Yeah, William.
so crazy when he acted. Ugh.
Right. Right. Oh my gosh, what's your just for all the Star Trekky fans out there? What's your favorite episode of Star, or just like, I know the show, I know there's shows and the movies. It's like hard to
Oh,
track up too, but what's your favorite
I
moment in
really,
Star Trek?
I really like. I mean, the Next Generation was sort of my show.
Right.
I mean,
Is
that
that the one
was
with
I
Patrick
started.
Stewart?
Yes, yeah. I mean, it started
Yeah.
in 1986
Serious.
when I was a senior in high school, and it went through into my college years, and so that was my Star Trek. So that's really what got me interested in Star Trek. And then I went back and watched the all of the original series, like during. I mean, we grew up with it on TV. Whenever you turned on the TV, there was a rerun of Star Trek going on. So I saw probably all the episodes. I don't know if I ever saw them all in order until the COVID lockdown. And then I watched through all
Mm,
the episodes and I was like, oh, wow, holy crap. There's all these tie ins with all the newer shows back to the original series that I didn't
that's
even know
cool.
existed. And then that whole mesh of weaving it all together, just like really
Lieutenant Uhura.
the trouble with
Awesome.
tribbles. Yes.
Yes. That's a cool one.
That's one of the best ones. Yeah.
Awesome, Sherry. Thank you for sharing that too. So that's cool. And it's like, oh my God, now you mentioned Star Trek, I gotta rewatch that too, the series and the movies too, because it's like, I always got into it, but it was so hard to, keeping track of, because I always focused on, I was like I think in the 90s too, I was really into, Batman the Animated Series, with Kevin
Oh,
Conway and,
yes.
Mark Hamill too. You guys know him as
Yes, Mark
It's
Hamill is
like,
the Joker.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just like, Oh my gosh, I forgot who played the voice of Superman during that time too, but it was kind of like, it was just like so powerful how it's just like, pinpointing your favorite episode, but also just like, viewing Batman too. It's kind of like, how he's so in a place like Gotham City, you just gotta really be on your P's and Q's, but it's kind of like, with Bruce Wayne, because he always admits too in the cartoons, and people portray him for being a sign of so like a crazy dude, but he really knows that, has that awareness about him. And it's like, wow, that's
Yeah.
really powerful. And I can really learn something from Bruce Wayne, how I can be self-aware about yourself, really be
Hmm.
disciplined with that. And it's just like, whether he's dealing with the Joker's BS, it's like, him and Harley trying to kill him, or trying to, rob a bank in Gotham City, or
Right.
teaming up with Lex Luthor trying to kill him and his best buddy, Kal-El of
Hmm.
Krypton, Superman. So it's like,
Hmm.
what the it's like, he's always kept that discipline, to where he's just like, he always keeps it grounded. And that's what I love about Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, because sometimes it was a means to an end, that a
Right.
necessary means to an end to team up with some of these people that he wouldn't normally have like chose as his team, you know. But that's what's
Yeah.
great about Batman. Oh, the
Yeah.
Adam West version of Batman
Adam
was,
West is the OG.
oh
Yeah.
my God, there is a video on YouTube. Now, I don't remember if you guys remember this from watching the reruns of that show, but the Batman and Robin would be climbing up a building and somebody would open the window and out would pop some star. Like there was
Oh
all
shit.
these famous stars that like popped out that window, and you should go and watch. There's a video on YouTube. I'll try to put it in my community page, but there's
Yeah,
this
yeah.
video
Cool.
of all the people who ever popped out of the window and had interaction with Batman and Robin, and it's hilarious. It's so funny. Yeah, Adam West was awesome.
Yeah, Adam, that dance was that's you can't beat that.
Yes.
Batman. Like even now too, my generation loves the Christopher Nolan, the Christian Bale kind of Batman.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
yeah.
Batman. So it's kind of
I'm
like I could do that voice too.
the Batman. Yeah,
I'm Batman.
I'm the Batman.
Where'd your other trucks going? So it's kind of like that too. It's like doing that voice, and it's like, oh my gosh, it hurts your throat.
It does. Yeah,
It's like
you have to
I
have a
have a
special kind of
build-up good
training to
practice
do
in that.
that.
It's like I do that really well. I can when it comes to voice acting, I love doing that because I could do very kind of intimidating and scary voices too. It's like rest in ease, and you roll your eyes back like the Undertaker. It's like, oh my gosh, I can do that shit. I was like, oh, I'm a scary dude. But yeah, it's just
I'm glad that you mentioned Batman though, because I was going to say that
yeah,
I predominantly was a DC girl. You know, I collected more DC comics than I did Marvel comics, though I did like Marvel comics too. I loved Spider-Man a lot. And during the 90s, I think it was like the early 90s, there comic books, the 2099 comic book series came out, and there was like Doom 2099, Spider-Man 2099, The Punisher 2099, Havoc 2099, or was Havoc or Hardware, one of the two 2099. And what I used to do is I used to go to the comic book store and drop like anywhere from $200 to $500 a month on first
wow.
edition comics. I would just buy a bunch of first editions and I would put them away, hoping
Oh
that maybe
wow.
someday they would become valuable. And so
Right.
I have boxes and boxes and boxes of first editions with nothing else, just the issue number one. But when I saw the 2099 series, I thought, what is this? So I bought, the four that were up there, but I bought an additional one of the Punisher because I was like, I want to read this and see what this is. And I read through it, and that turned into a horrible habit. I bought a lot of
Yeah.
comics. Okay. Uh-oh.
Oh, I'll be right back. Someone let
One
Ricky out.
moment, please.
Sorry, I had to let Ricky out. He was being anxious. Go ahead.
Oh,
I'm
that's
sorry.
okay. That's all right. That's okay.
Yeah, so like, I know you mentioned Marvel Comics, and it's just like, a lot of, Marvel comic characters too, and how Stan Lee portrays them to be kind of, relatable and realistic, like Spider-Man. It's kind of like with him being just, as a kid, just trying to do his own thing, do the right thing, with
Yeah.
great power comes with great responsibility. And it's just like, for you, Dolly, I'm going to ask you this, like, who's your favorite Marvel character, out of the Marvel Universe or the comics or
Well,
anything?
Spider-Man would probably have to be my favorite, but it would be a close second with can I say that? I don't know if I can say that. I really love Wolverine.
Oh
I
yeah,
love
that's my dude.
I don't necessarily like the entire X-Men universe, but his story was
Yeah,
something that really piqued my interest when I was younger.
right, right.
And so I loved that he was like a self-sabotaging hero. You know, I liked that he sabotaged himself all the time, and which caused him to be this anti-hero hero, you know.
Mm,
I like that about him, and Batman kind of fits that bill. Not that Batman was self-sabotaging, but he didn't fit the mold of hero. Either did the Punisher. They didn't fit the mold of hero,
mm.
and it was those kinds of characters that were kind of the anti-heroes that turned
Yeah,
hero
Punisher,
that I
Wolverine.
that I really really liked, you know.
I get that.
And right now, I, you know, I lean more towards DC just because I am absolutely in love with Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
Aquaman, you guys.
Oh my God, nobody could have played that better.
I
They
know.
could not have picked anyone better to play
And I
Aquaman.
feel the same about Henry Cavill playing Superman because I was like, when I first saw him, I
Yes.
was like, whoa, this is, he looks like the comic. I was like, what? It just had to give him that little esque, that curl he has, like how Michael
Yes.
Jackson had when he was, alive. I was like, what the heck? I was like, whoa, the Henry Cavill plays a really good Superman. I was like, wow.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it was just, yeah, I know how you guys feel about Henry Cavill, but it's like, to me, and especially a lot of people that
I
like,
understand. I get it.
yeah.
I get it. And Katie's talking about Storm too. Storm,
Oh, Storm. That's I call my grandma too and my mom
I
because they remind me of that
swear
Storm.
as I
Storm is
swear
such a
as
beautiful woman.
I was not a bisexual woman until I saw Storm, and
I don't
and
blame
that
you.
changed me
Storm is
forever.
that woman. Yes. And she's such a pioneer too. I want to talk
Yeah,
about Storm too, because
yeah,
like she's actually the first woman that I've seen in a video game, besides Chun-Li too. And it's like Storm, like who's this beautiful black woman with the white hair and it's so long? I was like, holy crap. And it's kind of like getting to know the character, and it's kind of like how she's so self-disciplined to where she's like, she has the power of weather. How Omega level kind of mutant you could do that, whether you
right.
go into space, if you're in another dimension, or if you're just like anywhere, it's like she can control the weather. And that's, I put her like next to Magneto, Phoenix, even
Yes,
like with
yes.
Zeus, it's like, holy crap! They call her the goddess for her freaking
And
reason.
the thing about her is she could control it. Magneto couldn't.
No,
That's
he
why he
couldn't.
had to wear
Yeah.
the helmet. And
Exactly.
um, what's his name with the goggles? Cyclops.
Yeah, Cyclops with the visor, right?
He had
Yeah.
to wear the visor, right? He couldn't control what he could do. A lot of those mutants couldn't control what they did. They had to wear something to keep it under control, but she could keep it under control.
Yeah, that's what's unique
So,
about her. Yeah, that's what she is, so self-disciplined. It's like, if she ever loses it and she wants to just like, go on a ruckus, I mean, oh my goodness, God help us all, because she could make a tornado out of nowhere, lightning. It's like,
could
holy
you
crap.
imagine being her husband?
Oh, you mean his guy? The Black Panther? He was her husband in the comics.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Well,
they were married.
he's the only one who could do that.
He's the only one that's
He's
strong
the
enough to
only
handle her.
Yeah,
I mean, hey.
because if it was like average Joe guy, he'd be like, honey, I know you told me to stop at the store and get us a few things on my way home from work, but I forgot, and tornado.
Yeah, but it's like
Okay,
cool
okay,
about.
I'll go back out and get it. I'll go back out and get it.
I'll get the vegetables, sorry, don't worry. And like T'Challa's like,
I
hey,
forgot the kumquat. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'll be back in Wakanda in a minute. So I'll be back because but what I love about T'Challa, he's so disciplined to where it's like, he doesn't abuse his power. He's like a noble king. And that's
Oh,
like,
that movie. That movie should have been made 30 years ago. Our
mm,
world would be a
Wesley
different
Snipes
place.
trying to do that too, like trying to make a Black Panther movie, but it didn't get into works too. So
It should have been made 30 years ago. Our world would have been a different place. It would have.
mm,
Because we would have had a whole 3 generations of kids who would have had heroes that were fair, that were strong, that were kind, we're firm, and we're intelligent.
Yes.
And fathers. You know what I'm
Healthy
saying?
masculine. They're promoting the message of healthy masculine. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
the healthy masculine
Healthy
man.
masculine. I promote that every
And
time I come on.
that's not just for Black people, that's for white
It's for
people
everyone.
too.
Right.
We
Right.
all need that, you know?
hmm
So,
That's what I preach.
yeah.
Exactly. Healthy masculine, healthy feminine. Yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes.
I
Hey,
never.
listen. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry. I know we're having a great time talking.
I know, right?
Maybe we can continue this conversation again, like in a couple weeks if you want to do
Yeah,
it
of
again.
course, of course.
But I gotta get going. I'm starting to hurt, so I need to
Oh
go and
yeah, of
take. I
course. I
need to go take my
understand.
medicine, and once I do, I'm going to be kind of like,
I get it. I get it. So if you guys want to subscribe to Dali, the Wolfgirl Oracle, feel free to do so. I'm sorry if we didn't get you pull some cards for you guys too, but we will.
next time we will.
Yeah, next time for sure. And if you guys want to tune in on Saturday too, I'd love to pull cards for you too. You guys want to talk about certain topics, I'll make a post about it. If you guys want to see anything, funny reaction videos you want to react to, or if you guys want some funny certain readings too. So, but Dali, thank you for hanging out with us for an
Thank you
hour.
for
I'm with you.
thank you for having me on. This was
You're always welcome
great.
to.
This was great.
It was awesome. You're always welcome on my channel too. So feel
Thank
free to
you.
hit me up, and
Same.
especially for anyone who's listening too. So if you guys want to support Dali, the Wolfgirl Oracle, feel free to subscribe to her channel. It's linked in the chat right now. But also for those who are watching the replay, it's linked in the description below. So if you guys want to check me out too on social media and everything else, feel free to check out my Linktree. So there you go. Hey, yes, that's me. All right.
All right. Thank you,
All right.
Jay. All
Yeah,
right. I
thank you
love you
guys.
guys. You have a
Love you
good
too,
night.
guys.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take care. All right. Bye bye.